The top three trends that we see impacting video surveillance really all come from the IT or consumer side. It's the cloud, which is everywhere and everyone talk about it today. It's edge storage, comprising of SD card that is getting more and more capacity, which is more and more viable for video surveillance. And last but not least, mobility. Everyone has a smartphone in their pocket today, and that is affecting what we can do with video surveillance systems today. Well, first of all, I think it has the ability to confuse a lot of people because not everyone knows what they're talking about when they talk about the cloud, and I think we sometimes as vendors haven't really done a good story. The cloud is much more than remotely monitoring a recording device. The cloud is really taking all the storage, all the video surveillance and putting it somewhere in the cloud where you don't know where it is, shouldn't know where it is, and you have enough capacity to scale to whatever scale you want. And it's really only fits well if you have applications where you have many different sites with few cameras at each site. And it used to be complex to install a camera in that environment, but there's technologies such as one-click that really makes it very easy to integrate them into the cloud. And I think we as vendors need to do a better job of explaining that model for people. And one thing that we need to educate them about is that the costing model changed from a capital expenditure to an operating expenditure. And some businesses are not necessarily set up to do that comparison. So it's an educational process, yes, that IP was in the early days, but it's happening everywhere else, and it's going to happen, and is happening in the security industry for sure. Storage in general has always been affecting video surveillance, and the cost of storage has impacted what we can do with video surveillance. And the more and lower cost storage is available, the bigger resolution, the longer retention time, the higher frame rates. At the end of the day, I don't think any end user really want to have a SIF image at 3 frames a second and store it for a couple of days. They really want to have high frame rate video, as big as a resolution as they would like to have, maybe HD TV, 1080p, and store it for a fairly long retention time. And storage makes that possible. Storage cost has been coming down gradually over the last number of years, but really what's exciting over the last few years is the SD cards that used to be very expensive for just a gigabyte, now is fairly inexpensive for 32 or 64 gigabyte. For $40, I think you get a good size 32 gigabyte memory, and on that you can store a week's worth of relevant recording on a surveillance camera. And all of a sudden that opened up a totally new perspective on how you can build an architecture for video surveillance where you actually store the video inside of the camera in a cost-effective way. Well, mobile devices is changing the world in a very dramatic way, and when you got your first smartphone, and especially once the iPhone was launched, all of a sudden everyone is doing their business, doing the banking, really doing the things we talked about for the last 10 years. Everything is kind of tied into the mobile device, and young people especially are kind of tied to the hip with the mobile device and wouldn't leave home without it. And that's changing the security market as well, both from a security perspective, because we have more of the bring your own device into the environment where you need to make sure it's secure and safe, but also the abilities of, I can bring up my phone now and check videos back from the office, and the only thing I pay is not the cost of the camera, and the bandwidth is there, the functionality is there of viewing a website, and there's really very low cost for doing something that was very expensive only a couple of years ago. So that is changing the capabilities of the surveillance market.